They called her the Old Maid long before she ever earned the name. In Black Creek County, labels stuck harder than dust on a dry summer wind. And once the townsfolk decided who you were, it took an earthquake to change their minds. Clara Whitmore had arrived in the county at 22 with a widow's trunk, a college education no one trusted, and a quiet dignity that unsettled people who preferred loud opinions. By 30, unmarried and still living alone on her late aunt's neglected parcel of land, she became a convenient, cautionary tale whispered at church socials and spat out in the saloon. Across the valley lived Luke Calder, the last true cowboy rancher the county had left, a man forged from sun, loss, and stubborn silence. When his parents died within a year of each other and his ranch slipped into debt, the county council, made up of men who mistook control for wisdom, decided to solve two problems at once. A marriage, they said, would stabilize the ranch and give Clara purpose. The arrangement was delivered like a verdict, not a proposal. Luke heard it in the back room of the bank, his jaw tightening as if he were biting down on a curse. Clara heard it from the pastor's wife, who smiled too widely while pretending it was a blessing. Neither was asked what they wanted. The wedding was rushed, quiet, and heavy with judgment. On the day of the ceremony, Luke wore black out of habit, not celebration, and Clara wore a simple cream dress she stitched herself the night before, hands trembling not from fear but from resolve. When they stood together at the altar, the church felt smaller than the rumors that had forced them there. Luke barely looked at her, convinced he'd been shackled to a stranger. Clara looked straight ahead, absorbing every whisper, every sideways glance, storing them somewhere deep where anger became fuel. That night, Luke told her plainly that this marriage was only on paper, that she'd have a room of her own and no say in ranch matters. Clara nodded, thanked him calmly, and said nothing more. What Luke didn't know, what no one in Black Creek County knew, was that Clara had spent years studying land law, livestock management, and water rights, quietly preparing for a future no one believed she deserved. As the weeks passed, the ranch faltered. Cattle grew sick, creditors circled, and Luke's temper hardened with exhaustion. Clara watched, learned, and waited. She rose before dawn, mapped the land, and noticed patterns Luke had long ignored: the poisoned stream upstream, the grazing imbalance, the predatory contracts hidden in fine print. Still, she said nothing. The county believed they had broken her spirit by forcing her into marriage, and that belief was their greatest mistake. Because Clara Whitmore was not the kind of woman who shattered loudly. She cracked slowly, then reshaped herself into something unrecognizable, and as winter crept in and the ranch edged closer to collapse, Clara made her first move, quiet, precise, and irreversible. If this story is already pulling you in, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because what happens next is where everything changes. By the time Black Creek County realized Clara Whitmore was no longer playing the role they'd assigned her, it was already too late to stop her. Her first act wasn't dramatic, it was surgical. While Luke rode fence lines and argued with suppliers, Clara visited offices in neighboring counties, presenting documents with a confidence that startled men who had never bothered to look twice at her. She renegotiated water access rights by exposing an illegal diversion upstream, forcing a powerful landowner into compliance. She voided a predatory loan contract on a technicality so precise it left the bank stunned. One by one, the pressures strangling the Calder ranch began to loosen. Luke noticed the changes but didn't understand them at first. The cattle recovered, the numbers improved, letters stopped arriving with red ink and threats. When he finally confronted Clara, demanding to know what she'd done, she met his eyes without flinching and told him the truth. She had saved his ranch while he was too proud to ask for help. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument. For the first time, Luke saw her not as the burden the county had forced on him, but as a force he had underestimated. Word spread quickly in Black Creek County, carried on the same tongues that once mocked her. Men who had laughed at the marriage now found their own deals, unraveling under scrutiny. Women who had pitied Clara began seeking her advice in private. The county council called an emergency meeting, furious and afraid, accusing Clara of manipulation and deceit. She attended, standing beside Luke, not behind him, and calmly laid out evidence of corruption that reached back decades. The room erupted. Reputations fell apart in real time. By the end of the night, 2 councilmen resigned, and an investigation was launched that would shake the county for years to come. Luke watched it all with a mix of awe and shame. realizing that the strength he thought he carried alone had been standing beside him all along. Their marriage, once an arrangement of convenience and control, began to change in quiet moments. Shared meals, long talks by the fire, trust rebuilt piece by piece. Clara never sought revenge, only balance, but the result was the same. The county was forced to reckon with how badly it had misjudged her. By spring, the Calder Ranch was thriving, and Clara's name was spoken with respect instead of ridicule. She never demanded apologies because she didn't need them. She had rewritten her story on her own terms. And as Black Creek County adjusted to a new order shaped by a woman they once dismissed, one truth became impossible to ignore. Forcing Clara Whitmore into marriage didn't break her, it unleashed her. If you enjoyed this powerful transformation and want more stories where underestimated characters rise and rewrite their fate, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring these stories to life. And the next one might just be even more unforgettable.